It always begins the same way. She looks at you, not as you are, but as who she imagines you might become. You sense it in her eyes, don't you? That flicker of hope? Or is it hunger? You think you are being seen, but you are not. You are being measured, assessed, scanned like a blank canvas, waiting for her to paint her masterpiece. However, the masterpiece isn't you. It never was. Carl Jung warned you, and he did so not with the gentle words of a motivational speaker, but with the sharp, surgical precision of a man who dedicated his life to examining the psychological abyss of the human soul. Jung's entire existence was devoted to mapping what he called the unconscious, the part of the human mind that functions silently beneath your awareness. He discovered something terrifying about women. They don't simply fall in love with men. They fall in love with the idea of men, with the fantasy, the projection. And the most frightening part? Most women aren't even aware they're doing it. You might believe she's choosing you, but in reality, she's choosing the version of you she has created in her mind, a psychological puppet designed to fulfill a role in her private movie. When you no longer fit the script, she changes the actor, not the story. Jung referred to this projection as the animus, the inner masculine image that dwells within every woman. When this animus is underdeveloped, immature, or unchecked, it becomes a tyrant, an unseen force that drives women to pursue dangerous men and reject good ones. It causes them to argue without reason, dominate without wisdom, and moralize without accountability. Jung didn't sugarcoat this concept. He described it as a spiritual possession, a state where the woman unthinkingly acts from the shadowy grip of her inner masculine fantasy instead of her conscious self. Men fall prey to this because few are taught to recognize it. You confuse being desired with being truly known. You mistake being chosen with being understood. You believe her words when she says you're different. In truth, you're simply the latest face she has cast to play a role she has been rehearsing since childhood. When her fantasy collapses and the mask slips, you're left bewildered, betrayed, humiliated, wondering what you did wrong. But you didn't do anything wrong. You merely ceased to be a convincing actor in her story. Jung warned that the only escape from this psychological theater is through what he called individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming whole within yourself. The harsh truth is that most men never begin this journey. You have been conditioned to seek approval, to chase validation, to let women define your worth. As long as you do, you will continue playing the same role, only to be replaced once the audience loses interest. Individuation isn't glamorous, it's brutal. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself you've buried, the weak, insecure, and broken elements. It demands that you stop blaming women for not seeing you and instead look inward, because here's what Jung understood. You don't become a man by being chosen. You become one by choosing yourself. Your worth isn't earned through her affection, but earned through standing alone, fully awake, responsible, and alive. A man who faces his unconscious cannot be seduced by projection. He is no longer a puppet in someone else's fantasy. He is the creator of his own reality. Jung observed that the worst tragedy for modern men isn't rejection, but the tendency to mold themselves into whatever shape they think will be accepted. Call it compromise, partnership, or love. All are, in Jung's view, forms of self-betrayal. He warned that men who ignore their spiritual development become slaves to feminine projections, bending like wet clay to fit the demands of women who often don't even know their own true desires. Eventually, you stop being a man and start playing a role, smiling, nodding, agreeing, performing, until you forget who you really are. Women sense this more than you could imagine. The very qualities you think will earn her love, obedience, predictability, availability, are what cause her to lose attraction. Why? Because the feminine instinct Jung taught is not drawn to comfort, but to mystery, to risk, to the man she cannot fully define or control. When you reveal yourself completely without boundaries or backbone, you don't become more lovable. You become invisible, disposable, replaceable. And here's the paradox that keeps most men enslaved. You fear loneliness more than being inauthentic. You'd rather lose yourself than lose her. You prefer to live a role than confront the terror of standing without applause. Jung explained that true freedom comes only when a man embraces solitude. He described individuation as a path for the brave, requiring you to die before you die, to let the false versions of yourself burn so that something real can emerge. But I'll tell you something nobody wants to say aloud. Individuation is lonely, terrifyingly lonely. As you walk this path, you will see things you cannot unsee. You will recognize the games people play, the masks they wear, the lies they tell themselves just to feel safe. When you try to share what you see, you'll be mocked. It's too cold, too arrogant, too serious. People hate the mirror that shows them what they refuse to face. Jung knew this well. He spent decades studying patients terrified of confronting their own shadows, the dark and rejected parts of their psyche they deny. Women, Jung warned, are often raised in cultures that praise avoiding this confrontation. They're told they are pure, emotional, intuitive, and complete just as they are. But Jung saw the danger in this complacency. The greatest threat to women is their unconscious animus, the inner masculine voice that speaks with false certainty, authority, and moral superiority. If a woman does not face and integrate this force, she becomes its prisoner, projecting it onto every man she meets and blaming them for the war she refuses to fight within herself. And here you are, believing you're her savior, thinking that if you love her enough, prove yourself, perform well, she'll finally pick you for who you are. But Jung taught that projection is theft. It steals reality and replaces it with illusion. Until both men and women wake up and see past that illusion, they will repeat the same tragic pattern, blaming each other, dancing with shadows, unaware of the game. The most ironic twist: the woman who once saw you as her hero may one day see you as her enemy, not because you changed, but because you failed to fulfill her fantasy. She won't even realize she's doing it. Jung called this inevitable psychological betrayal, when neither party takes responsibility for their inner world. You didn't lie to her. You never were her hero. You merely disappointed the invisible character she created in her mind. That's why she resents you. Not for your flaws, but for failing to live up to the myth she never told you you were. Hired to play, Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. This is especially true in romantic relationships. Both men and women enter them not as whole individuals but as projections, dragging their unfulfilled fears, unmet needs, and childhood wounds into the arms of someone they barely understand. Jung called this possession. Like a hypnotized man, you keep walking into the trap, convinced that next time it will be different. But it never is, because you have yet to ask the most terrifying question of all. What if I am the one responsible for this pattern? Want to blame women? Want to call them manipulative, deceptive, shallow? Jung would look you in the eyes and ask, and why did you let yourself be chosen by her in the first place? The man who refuses to confront his inner feminine is doomed to be a slave to hers. You are not a victim, you're a volunteer, a fool who chose to act out her myth because facing your own emptiness seemed too frightening. But it's not. Facing that emptiness is the only path to freedom. Jung warned that true freedom requires brutal work, mastering the art of self-confrontation, sitting alone in silence, watching the illusions crack, and quieting the voice in your head that whispers, "You're nothing without her." That voice will fight fiercely because it needs her. It will tell you that you're incomplete without her, that no man can live without feminine validation. Jung's work suggests something more dangerous. The man who can stand alone, without approval, without applause, without needing, is finally free. Free from projection, from performance, from living as someone else's idea of a man. When, You reach this state, you don't become cold or distant. You become real, rooted and fully alive in your own skin. And paradoxically, women will be most attracted to you, not because you need them, but because you don't. You will smile, not from heartbreak, but from understanding, a profound awareness that she's on her own journey, that she needs to face her own animus, that she must wake from her illusions. And you can't do that work for her. You can only walk your own path so fearlessly that you become a mirror, reflecting the truth back to those willing to look. Most will turn away, but a few, rare few, will thank you. And that, my friend, is the difference between being loved for the role you play and being respected for the man you have become. When that day comes, that moment when you realize you no longer need to perform, you'll notice something strange, discomfort in others. They will sense your transformation, even if they cannot name it. Your presence will unsettle them because you no longer fit into their safe, predictable categories. Jung warned that the individuated man is not welcomed. He is feared, misunderstood, and often dismissed as distant or arrogant. But the truth is much more threatening. You have become untouchable, unbuyable, and unmanipulable. You see through the game. And here's where it gets amusing. The very people who once sought your validation, women, especially those still caught in the fantasy of the perfect man, will begin to resent you for not needing theirs. They'll accuse you of being emotionally unavailable, too distant, too analytical. But what they truly mean is that they can no longer control you. You've stepped off the stage. You've stopped playing by their script. Without that script, they don't know what to do with you because you are no longer a character. You are a real man. Jung once joked that the gods have become diseases, that what ancient cultures called divine possession, modern psychology calls neurosis. Men chasing validation are among the most spiritually sick. You think you're romantic when you say, "I'd do anything for her," or "she's my everything." But Jung would shake his head. What you call love is actually a refusal to carry your own soul. It's easier to project that burden onto a woman, making her the vessel for your hopes, meaning, and purpose. If she carries it, you don't have to. But the brutal truth, when she realizes she was never meant to carry your soul, she'll drop it, and she must. No woman, no matter how loving, can carry the weight of a man who refuses to carry himself. And when she drops it, you'll feel betrayed. But you shouldn't. You should thank her, because in that moment, when the illusion finally shatters, you stand face to face with the truth. The work of becoming a man was never her responsibility. It was always yours. In that raw, clarifying moment, you have two choices. You can blame her, become bitter, and join the chorus of men blaming women for everything, resenting them, and avoiding self-responsibility. Or you can do what Jung would have urged: turn inward. Begin the lonely, terrifying, liberating journey of individuation, of becoming whole without needing someone else to complete you. Because the truth? The woman you're searching for out there is actually a reflection of the part of yourself you've neglected. Until you face that part, every relationship will be an act, every connection a transaction, every love a lie. But when you face it, integrate your inner feminine, you won't need to chase women. You won't manipulate, perform, or seek approval. You'll stand firm, grounded, and fully yourself. From that place, something extraordinary happens. You attract women who seek the truth, not a character. You'll recognize it when it arrives, because she won't demand performance. She won't try to change your script. She won't fall in love with a fantasy of you. She'll stand before you, raw and real, not as a goddess craving worship, but as a human willing to walk her path alongside you. No masks, no projections, no games. When you meet her, the real her, not the fantasy, you'll see the difference immediately. She won't shower you with grand declarations or treat you as a missing piece. She won't seduce you with the language of completion because she isn't looking to be completed or saved. She's done the work, facing her shadow, confronting her animus, burning through illusions. That's why she will not need you to perform or carry her soul. She will stand whole, looking you in the eye, not as a woman you want to shape, but as a woman prepared to meet a real man. In that encounter, there's no desperation, no clinginess, no performance, only truth. And the truth that Jung spoke of is the rarest and most powerful form of love, one that demands nothing but offers everything, born not of need, but of freedom. Freedom to choose, to walk away, to stand, together without illusions, masks, or fears. But a word of caution. Most men never reach that place. They quit too early. They settle for the performance, the fantasy, or the fleeting excitement of being someone they're not, because facing their true selves still feels too much to bear. But if you have the courage, the brutal, gut-wrenching courage to keep going, to keep standing alone, to strip away every false layer built for approval, you will find yourself at the edge of something terrifying and beautiful. You will find yourself. And when you do, women will no longer be the source of your identity. They'll no longer be your mirror for feeling like a man. They will become something entirely different. Partners, not prizes. Mirrors, not mothers. Allies, not saviors. And you will love them, not because you need them, but because you choose to, from a place of strength, wholeness, and authentic self-awareness. Carl Jung didn't leave you a map. He left you a warning. Every man who fails to confront himself becomes a slave to the projections of others, especially women. But he also left you a challenge to walk the path of individuation, to stop blaming women for the roles you volunteer to play, to stop seeking wholeness outside yourself, and to stop waiting to be chosen. Because the man who fully chooses himself, unapologetically, relentlessly, becomes impossible to control by fantasy. He becomes the creator of his life. If you've made it this far and feel this message deep inside, don't just scroll away. Don't let this be another thing you consume and forget. Take a moment now, like this message, share it with another man who needs to hear the truth, and subscribe for more. Your support isn't just for us. It's for the next man still trapped in illusion, waiting to be set free. Help us spread this message. Help us wake up the world, one man at a time. If this message resonated with you, make sure to subscribe and share it with others who need to hear the truth. Leave a comment below saying, "I am the creator of my life," and start owning your journey today. Remember, true transformation begins when you take responsibility for your own life. Embrace the journey of self-discovery, face your shadows, and become the man you're truly meant to be. The world needs more men who stand rooted in their authenticity and walk their path with courage. Stay strong, stay true, and never stop becoming. The power to create your destiny is in your hands.